Hello, Garland Nixon here. And in case you haven't been paying attention, apparently a Russian transport plane has landed in Venezuela. I wonder what's on it. Let's talk. Hello, Garland here. And all kinds of things going on. And one of the things that people are starting to wonder about is Venezuela from the perspective of just like Iran. It does have allies in China and Russia. Venezuela is a large country, about the size of Germany and France. I mean, yes, about the size of Germany and France combined. And of course, let's just say this: the George W. Bush administration, which is in office right now, is doing what the George W. Bush administration would do. They're trying to lie us into another war. Trump is doing his weapons of mass destruction in the Western Hemisphere. So he's just flat out lying. Oh, yes, certainly Maduro has weapons of mass destruction. Don't let the evidence be a mushroom cloud. He might as well just go ahead and bring Condoleezza Rice in, bring in Wolfowitz, put the band back together. It's been 20 years. I'm sure, they're pretty old right now, but they could sing the same old song and talk to us about WMDs. But at any rate, let's look at what's going on now and see what we can make of it. Looky here, looky here, looky here. And let's start. You can search for it all over the place, but here's what we got. Fraternal aid begins. Russian IL-76TD aircraft lands in Venezuela. An IL-76TD aircraft belonging to Avion Zitotrans has landed in Venezuela, according to Flight Radar 24 data. However, the cargo the plane was delivering to Caracas is unknown. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's unknown. Let's look at that. It is noteworthy that since January 2023, Avion Zitotrans has been under U.S. sanctions for carrying out cargo transportation for the Russian PMC Wagner and sanctioned enterprise of the Russian military-industrial complex. That's interesting. Some experts see this as the beginning of Russia's fraternal assistance to Venezuela, which is currently awaiting an American invasion. As a reminder, under the ostensible pretext of fighting drug cartels, the U.S. has amassed a large naval force off the coast of Venezuela, blah, blah, blah. A ground operation is expected to begin any day now. That'll be the day. So here we got Flight Radar. Okay, Trinidad and Tobago. There you go. There's your plane. I guess there's good old Venezuela, right? We got Ilyushin 76TD, and there's all the info on it. And there's our plane. Look at that. It's worth noting that several days ago, the Federation Council ratified the strategic partnership agreement with Russia. According to this document, Moscow and Caracas cooperate on issues of arms control, disarmament, and non-proliferation, contributing to ensuring international stability and equal and indivisible security for all states without exception. There you go. Now, what that means, now you can go to it's ian.topcore.ru, so it's Russian. But look, just search Russian IL-76 Venezuela, and you'll get all the information you need. Okay, but so what's going on? This appears now. Keep in mind, Wagner is not there anymore. There was the whole fiasco with Prigozhin and Wagner, as I understand it. Keep in mind something. The thing about Wagner. Wagner is simply what most of your major countries have, right? France always had something called the French Foreign Legion. And remember, what did they do? They take a lot of people out of prison. The French Foreign Legion took a lot of people out of prison. They took some people from other countries. They pretended as though it wasn't exactly the French government. The U.S. government uses Blackwater and various mercenary operations, and they pretend that it's not U.S. government. And of course, The Russians used Wagner, and it was I mean, it was like they used Wagner. I mean, that's the game. Every major country has some military group that's aligned with them that gives them some level of plausible deniability. That's all Wagner was. Wagner operated a lot in Africa, um, and they did have a lot of people that were former prisoners. Yes, they did. As I said, as the French Foreign Legion, I'm sure you go to Blackwater and all the rest, you'll see that it's normal, right? But when Wagner, that whole thing fell apart with Prigozhin, they were, as I understand, they were integrated into the military, though I'm sure that Russia maintains some kind of a mercenary force because all countries do. But at any rate, whatever the case may be, it appears that this is a plane that was used by Wagner. That's all that I'm saying. A plane that was used by Wagner, maybe companies that work for Wagner, whatever the case may be. And so now they're still doing their thing. In other words, though names have been changed for Wagner and they maybe have integrated into this or that, they are still the same thing. And that is a foreign mercenary / military force that gives the Russian government a little bit of plausible deniability that it's not been. Very little, but a little. Okay. What it sounds like to me is they're delivering something. What we don't know. We don't know what it could be. Now, an IL-76 itself couldn't bring like an S-400. It couldn't bring anything major. Now, it could bring parts. If a bunch of IL-76s landed there, okay, they could be bringing major stuff. But there are a lot of things that they could bring. They could bring a radar. They could bring some missiles. You could bring some very, very nasty missiles. And when it comes to war fighting, there could be technology things such as if they're going to be able to access Russian ISR, right? Russian intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, right? It could be that they're bringing electronics that would allow them to integrate with or utilize or access Russia's ISR, so they would know what's going on with the American ships and what's happening there. Maybe intercept messages, maybe possibly do some military technological defense, such as some of the things they do to block signals from missiles and things. So there's a lot of things that they could be bringing, and that's what's his name, Nolan Buskis says. You can't transport a meaningful amount of equipment with an air transport, right? Especially a single IL-76. A single IL-76 is not going to be bringing a whole lot, but again, it is pretty big. So I think maybe missiles. Definitely, you can bring missiles. Maybe some radar, some defensive capabilities, things of that nature. You could definitely bring some missiles. You could definitely bring some small radars and defensive capabilities. You could just definitely bring electronic for signal blocking, for ISR, things of that nature. So who knows? But it sounds to me like something's coming there from Russia. They are working with the Venezuelans. Now Trump and his crew are saying they're going to attack Venezuela any day. Well, I think basically this is a trap for Trump. I feel like this: if Trump attacks Venezuela, I think that's kind of it. I think that kind of may or will or is likely to kind of finish off his presidency in a way. I'll tell you why. Because getting in is one thing. Having some success.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Oh,
there you are.
There we go. Okay, that was my that thing's every time I turn around, it thinks I'm coming on, and that was, believe it or not, that was Jamal Thomas and Mark Sloboda that I was listening to earlier coming on my YouTube. But at any rate, my point is, if Trump goes into Venezuela, then let's say he attacks Venezuela. Let's say he does some bombing. What happens? You got a couple of things. You got Venezuela having some capacity to respond, right? They do have some missiles, KH-31s, things of that nature. They've got some anti-ship missiles, and might I add, we don't know what they have. I mean, Russia and/or China might have provided them with some nasty missiles. We don't know, but what they had, I'll put it like this: Look at what happened in Yemen. Yemen didn't have the latest technology, and Yemen was able to put a pretty nasty hurt on the U.S. And the U.S. didn't attack Yemen with the plan of taking over Yemen, right? They didn't say we're going in. And part of it, you look at Yemen, it's very, very mountainous, kind of place you don't want to go in. One of the things that was discussed about Iran is the terrain. It's very, very mountainous. You don't want to go there on foot, right? And of course, compared to Venezuela, you don't just have mountains, you got jungles mixed with the mountains. I mean, you ride down the road and there's jungles hanging over the side of the road. It's not the kind of place I'd want to fight. Let me do something for you. Let me do something. All right. Watch this. You want to crawl around the jungles of Venezuela? When I was there, one of the things they were saying, there was this trail, and they're like, "Hey, we can all go for a walk on the trail." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds great! Wow, this is beautiful. It's gorgeous." And then one lady was saying something in Spanish about be careful. When I was trying to understand it, it said, "Whatever. I don't understand Spanish." And eventually, I understood one word, viper, and I'm like, "Uh-oh." And then I'm like asking somebody, what is she said? Oh, she's saying there's a poisonous snake. There's a certain snake, and there's lots of them around here, and it's called the so-and-so, so-and-so. So watch your step and look for it, and it looks like this. And if you step over logs, and I'm like, whoa, we're going to, there's poisonous, then they're going to, on my leg, and I'll just take a pass on that one, right? Apparently there were lots of them. Let's go here. What do they got? You got the ferdinands. The Turpicella is a species, the Terciopella species of pit vipers, blah, 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 bushmaster, ferdinands, bullet ant, or names that strike terror in people's hearts, right? The bushmaster, that's what they called it in Vietnam, right? The Aruba island rattlesnake, the boa constrictor, the Leech's muta. So you got rattlesnakes. You got, what is a Leech's muta? Okay, here we go. It's got several poisonous snakes, including the Venezuelan lancehead, the Ferdy lance, the South American coral snake, the Guarico rattlesnake, right? The lancehead, aggressive, medically important pit viper, blah, blah, blah. Its venom can cause local and systemic effects, including coagulopathy and acute kidney injury, the Ferdy lance, extensive tissue damage, responsible for many fatalities. They call it, like the bushmaster, they call it in Vietnam. Coral snake, you're dead one bite of that, but they're not very aggressive. Guarico rattlesnake, we know about that. The good old horned palm viper. And the South American bushmaster, one of the longest venomous snakes, one of the longest venomous snakes, is native to the forests of northwestern South America, including Venezuela, and the Bothros medusa, terrestrial snake, found in the forest in northern Venezuela. In other words, there's a lot of jungles, and you don't want to go wandering around in those jungles. And those people are from there. They understand what it's like. They're armed to the teeth. And if the snakes don't bite you, the natives will, the locals will. They're armed to the teeth. So right now, Trump, what happens? Trump's like, yes, we're ready. Rick Scott the other day was like, yes, Maduro's gone any day. Maduro's going to be a dead man. Let's start here. Okay. You know the game, right? The game is always the same. Number one, the country's got a lot of oil. Number two, you pretend that it's not a country and you name the leader. Putin, there's no such place as Russia. Assad, there's no such place as Syria. Saddam, there's no such place as Iraq. Maduro, there's no such place as Venezuela. See the game? You pretend that there's no country there, and you just speak the name of the person who is in charge, and you call them a dictator, and say he's an evil dictator, and therefore he has to go, and blah, blah, blah. And what about the oil then? Oh, we'll make sure we secure the oil. We want to figure out the oil. We're just going to secure it. Just make sure it's secure. That's all. And then we'll pump a little of it out, maybe sell it, keep the money, stuff like that. So that's the game. Maduro's a dead man. Maduro's gone. Maduro's this. Okay, let's start here. Why would that make a difference? Because do you know what the people in Venezuela call themselves? We are the sons and daughters of Hugo Chavez. We are the Chavistas. They're the Chavistas. They're not the Maduroistas. Now, Maduro was Chavez's right-hand man, and they love and support Maduro. And of course, if you believe that the Russians hate um, Putin, but he still has 87% of the vote, and according to U.S. polls, he got an 86% approval rating, and he got 1% more than the U.S. polls. So I guess he stole that extra percent, right? But if you believe that he's a dictator that's hated by his people when he's loved by his people, if you believe that the Chinese Communist Party is terrible and oppressing the people, even though they've got one of the highest approval ratings of any country in the world, you believe that Maduro, who gets about 65% of the vote, he's evil, he's terrible, he's okay, and about 10% that doesn't support him because they think he's too far to the right. They're the actual Communist Party of Venezuela. They don't support him. Okay. So here's my point. Yes, Maduro will be dead. I'm going to bring back the corpse of Maduro. Here's the problem. You may, Trump administration, be able to convince the American people and their poor little brainwashed pea brains. They'll believe any damn thing you say. Just point to a country and they think, oh yes, I was told that this person's a dictator and it's a socialist dictator, so it must be evil and the people love, and we're going to bring peace or whatever, right? You may be able to convince the blockheads here of that, but you got to convince the Venezuelan people, and they don't believe it. So what are the Venezuelan people going to do? We're going to take out Maduro. Now, in America speak, that means he's a dictator and he rules over the people. Well, gee, Trump, I guess that means that once Maduro's gone, they'll shower us with flowers. They'll welcome us with flowers. Oh, thank you for coming to save us from Saddam. Oops. I mean, thank you for coming here and freeing us from Maduro. Or perhaps they won't. You see, they are the Chavistas, not the Maduristas, the Chavistas. They are proud of their revolution, and they will defend their democracy. So you go in there, you tell the brainwashed schmugs here, hey, we killed Maduro, we attacked Maduro, we ran Maduro out of the country, Maduro's in hiding, whatever. Maduro's in hiding, and we find him, we're going to get him right now. We can't find him. He's probably in the Amazon jungle somewhere, but whatever. But now we have Venezuela. Oh, really? They've armed 2 million people. And might I add, I was looking now, they're training people by the hundreds and hundreds of thousands. They get more and more training by the hundreds and hundreds of thousands. So you're going to go there. They got hundreds of thousands of troops. And up to 2 million that I've heard, up to 2 million armed people, civilians, men and women. I'm telling you, the women are ready to fight. They'll smile. And let me tell you, I've told people this. You go to Venezuela, the most beautiful women you have ever seen in your life, they don't even look like humans. There's so many of these beautiful women. And you know what? They'll be smiling at the soldiers. Hi there, cutie. Don't you want to come over here and talk to me? Don't go over there and talk to them. Don't go over there and talk to them, cutie, because they're going to put a bullet in you. They're going to kill you. I've had some tell me to my face, we'll fight. They're ready to fight. Trump goes in there. What's he going to do? First of all, what is he going to do? Just bomb some areas of Caracas? Who the hell knows where Maduro is? And even the propaganda is we'll blow up. We'll somehow kill Maduro. And even if you do, it does nothing because they call themselves the Chavistas. And now I don't know what's coming in. I don't know where. Let's look some more and see what else we can find. Russian arms Venezuela. Here's one. Let's see what this says. What U.S. forces faces Venezuela puts Russian armed military on wartime alert, right? 10,000 troops. The 10,000 troops. Oh boy, 10,000 troops. But Venezuelan President Maduro's state of external emergency fundamentally changed what they're facing. A military on full-time war alert, equipped with Russian air defenses and anti-ship missiles, backed by what Maduro claims is a militia of 8 million. I know there was 2 million armed. There's going to be a lot. So they can't match. True. They spent billions on weapons that could cause the most damage. Russian-built systems such as missiles, jets designed to interact U.S. ships. They have at least 20 Sukhoi 30s armed with KH-31 anti-ship missiles. The Institute for Strategic Studies, oh, for God's sake, they confirmed that Venezuela has both anti-ship and anti-radar versions. The anti-radar simply you turn on, they lock on radar, and that's where they go right to the radar. You got Venezuelan jets. They say have tested U.S. forces. What do you mean? They're flying in their own area. How are they tested us? They've got S-125 Pechora 2Ms. Buk, that Buk is good. Thousands of Igla surface-to-air missiles. Those are near oil facilities. Those are low for low-flying stuff too. I think the Igla is more like a shoulder-mounted. What do they call that? Man pads, right? Buk is pretty good, short range. It says they've got Russian radar arrays, Chinese communication relays, and they've got a contested electromagnetic spectrum. Millions in their militia. And here's what's interesting. The U.S. Caribbean deployment lacks forces for full-scale Venezuela operations. There's no way, and that's the other thing I say, there ain't no way in hell you're going into a country the size of France and Germany combined with 10,000 troops. Or I think they've got 4,500 now Marines or something with 4,500 troops. And what are you going to do? Come ashore? Think you'll get lit up if you come ashore? What are they going to do? Some kind of a what do you call it? Amphibious assault or something? An amphibious landing? I don't think that's a good idea. And where on a country that size? It's huge. Venezuela is huge with lots of coastline, lots of wiggly, curvy coastline. I think it's got 1,000 miles of coastline. I think it's got 1,000 miles. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 1,000 miles border with both Colombia and Brazil. It's a big country. It's a big country. And I don't know what the Ruskies are arming them with. And nobody does. But I suspect. And keep in mind something. As far as Russia, we can't say to Russia, you have to defend Venezuela. Because, I mean, they've got a war going on themselves. They're doing some things arming Iran, and they've been Iran and Venezuela has been very close friends for a long time. I do recall a few years ago, Iranian ships, Iranian Navy, let me see this, Iranian Navy, Venezuela. There we go. Here's something to recall. Venezuela deploys Iranian missile boats to fend off U.S. Navy. Now, if you remember, one of the things that the Iranians do is they're fast attack boats. So what the Iranians have, they've got lots and lots and lots of these speedboats. They're really, really, really fast, right? And they carry anti-ship missiles on them. So what they do is they'll swarm and they'll overwhelm you. Right. So you got these ships out there and they got, hundreds of these boats coming out swarming with anti-ship missiles. And they come out and they are, the missiles that they're firing, the ships in and of themselves. If you look, they're a speedboat. Yeah, they're going to do but so much damage. But when they fire these missiles off, if an anti-ship missile catches up with you, it's a problem. Right. All right. Let's look at this. In response to a concentration in the Southern Caribbean of substantial U.S. Navy force, the Venezuelan Navy has reportedly deployed some of the PACAP-3 fast attack craft that Iran supplied it with several years ago. See right there we go. The Venezuelan Navy deployed Iranian-built PACAP-3 fast attack craft equipped with CM-90 anti-ship missiles supplied by Iran, right? Let's look up. There we go. You can see, let's look up the CM-90. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look that up. Iranian. We're going to look it up together. CM-90 anti-ship missile. It's Nasir. CM-90. There we go. Here we go again. Start looking at some of the things that Venezuela may be able to have. Venezuela Navy proudly displays Iranian CM-90 anti-ship missiles. According to information published by the Venezuelan Ministry of Defense, the Bolivarian Navy has officially added new CM-90 anti-ship missiles of Iranian origin to its arsenal. The confirmation came during an official visit by Venezuela's Minister of Defense. There you go, Iranian CM-90. CM-90 are presumed to be part of the armament of the PACAP missile boats, which were introduced in a naval parade in July of the previous year. These fast and agile boats are designed for coastal defense, heavily armed relative to their size, equipped with anti-ship missiles and torpedo tubes, with later models also featuring remote weapon stations, right? So there we go. We're going to anti-ship missiles and torpedo tubes. CM-90 is about 4.16 meters long, 280 millimeters in diameter, and weighs approximately 350 kilograms. Active radar guidance, turbojet engine, range of about 90 kilometers, right? So there we go. We see here, Venezuela's supersonic anti-ship missiles are a real threat to American warships. Boom. We look here. They talk about, again, the KH-31s. This is an Su-30. The Venezuelans has the Su-30. There you go. So the bottom line is we don't completely know what the Venezuelans have, which makes it tough. Let's just say this. I don't know how good the U.S.'s defense, air defense is. It doesn't seem like it's very, very good. It seems to me like, I mean, we struggled. The U.S. really struggled and ran the hell out of the Red Sea by Yemen. I would imagine that Russia is providing ISR and targeting. I sure would if I were them. Let's do something. Let's see. Su-30. If we can find a video. So they have the Su-30. Let's see if we can get a look at one of these suckers. So this is the Su-30. Venezuela has these. Let's take a look.
The flashy presentation of specialty designs like the Su-34 bomber or the super maneuverable Su-35.
All right.
The Su-30 has become perhaps Russia's most trusted and versatile fighter.
So apparently this is a fighter plane that Venezuela has, an Su-30. My understanding of the Su-30 is that it's a long-range fighter, that it has a very, very powerful radar and a very long range, that is a very capable jet. As you can see, you know, it's a Russian jet. It is a modern jet. Apparently they've got about 20 of these. So what you would do would be, if you're going to use one of these, use these against American planes or American, you know, ships or whatever the case, right? What you would do would be to fly them in real low, right? Just down on the deck, as they say, across the sea. And then when you get ready to fire your missiles, you pop up high, you fire your missiles, you go back down, you get the heck out of there. Now, I'm just saying this. Venezuela has these. I would imagine if I'm a U.S. and I'm got ships and aircraft carriers and things like that in the area, you know, and I'm going to go attack Venezuela, and I have had difficulties against a country that didn't even have a Navy or an Air Force, which would be Yemen, that the likelihood that I'm going to suffer some damage from aircraft such as this are pretty high. You know, this is not a child's toy here. These things can do some damage, and they can carry some very, very nasty missiles. The KH-31 is a very large missile. So there you go. You got the Su-30. Let's look at the KH-31. KH-31. We'll do this. We'll look at the KH-31 missile. All right. So here we have, apparently, let's look at what the Venezuelans have when it comes to anti-ship missiles. This is the KH-31. There you go. This is they've got two different types of missiles for the KH-31. One is an anti-radar missile, which basically hones in on radar. So if you turn on radar, it picks up the radar and it hones in on it and it takes it out. That's the Yakun. That's correct. The other one simply is fire and forget. So what you would do is, I think these, if I'm not mistaken, I think these Su-30s can carry, say, 4 of them. If I'm not mistaken, at least 4. And so let's say you had, a squadron of 12. Let's say you had 4 of your Su-30s, and each of them had 4 of these, right? So now you got 16 of these missiles. And the way you do fire anti-ship missiles, any missiles, but let's say an anti-ship missile is a salvo. So you're gonna fly low, you're gonna pop up, and you're gonna release these missiles, a salvo of them. And let's say you want to take out a particular ship or 2 ships, right? Well, you get a salvo of 8 going at one ship, you got a salvo of 8 going at the other ship. That's a pretty nasty missile. It's a large missile, it's a powerful missile, it's a nasty missile. If it hits a ship, the ship's probably going down. If it hits, say, a Arleigh Burke class cruiser. So what we're looking at is, this ain't, I'm just saying, we are not talking about Yemen. We're talking about, hardware that Venezuela already has. Now, what the Russians are bringing them, in addition to what they already have, we don't know. There you go. Launch weight 715 kilograms. Now that's the 38 KH-31 PD. Keep in mind something. There are various iterations of it. That's an old one that has, some of them have 100, some of them have 251, some of the new ones have 500 kilometer, 1,000 kilometer range. So we don't know. But my point is, right now, the Americans they've got a bunch of large ships out there that are targets. And based on what we've seen, no, I mean, again, the danger. What the hell happens if Trump says, okay, that's it, we're starting a bomb, and they start to bomb, and some of these things come out, and some American ships go to the bottom with 200-300 American sailors on it? What then? What then? Are you going to declare war because they had the temerity to fight back? And might I add, we already got 2 other wars going. We're threatening Iran. So now you're going to come to this area and start a war with some people that may really be able to hurt you? Not a good idea. Not a good idea. It will be a trap. And not only that, I think the MAGA people will go bananas, but I think a lot of people in America, particularly if a bunch of American soldiers come home dead. So now, Trump, you're playing with fire. You're really playing with fire. You can bomb, maybe. You might lose some stuff. You might get some planes shot down. You might get your Navy blown to hell. I don't know, but I'm telling you right now, if you put some soldiers on the ground, that's where things are really going to go nasty. So at any rate, thanks a lot, everybody. I just wanted to do something very, very short. As I said, this was the main story. Here. This is the main story. You can search it for yourself. Returnal aid begins. Russia IL-76T aircraft, TD aircraft lands in Venezuela. The cargo, the plane delivering to Caracas is unknown. And this is a cargo transport that was used with Wagner. So I don't know what they're up to. I don't know if they're up to anything, but you know, there could be any imagine of technological, any manner of technological aid of all kind of things coming. Maybe, you know, it is possible that they have some stuff there that they need the Russians to help target. I mean, hey, you know, it happens where, you know, the Americans are in Ukraine and they're helping people target. Perhaps Russians may end up in Venezuela helping people target. Those things happen, you know. Let's hope not. At any rate, thanks a lot, everybody. That's the news. I'll keep you apprised of anything I find out. In addition, you see everything going by. Thank you for my Patreon and PayPal and buy me a coffee, all that stuff, people. If you can afford to, I certainly appreciate everybody who can to contribute. Even if you can't, you can share this on all your social media platforms. And of course, there's my P.O. box. Feel free to send me a mail with anything. What do we got here? Chili Pepper says, I need a Russian comment or another channel that said Russian fighter pilots were already in Venezuela. I've heard that too, but there's going to be a million rumors, so we don't know. I've heard that there were Russian fighter pilots in Iran too, so I don't know. All I can say is this: the U.S. is doing a lot of dirt on Russia's border and with its proxies. And even swap ain't no swindle. I think they're facing the same thing. Thanks a lot, everybody. Make sure you share.